I have reached a point of no return. My old self doesn't cut it anymore. Like, I've been prolonging the inevitable for too long. For, I want to say, maybe longer than a decade, I've always been under the impression that, I would just grow as a person, and what I really needed to worry about or just focus on was aligning myself with the right opportunities, with the right people, and this and that. And at some point along the way, I stopped focusing really on my growth in the right way. There were some things that I should have released years ago. I have grown as a person, but there were a few key things that I refused to let go of, despite growing as a person, like growing in thought and how my mental processes worked, maturing as a woman. But again, there were some things that I refused to let go of, and now they are proving to be the things that are currently spelling my downfall. Because that's what this is. It is a setback, fully and completely. And I have to sit with that. But though it's a setback, and I feel like it's a downfall, I don't think that it's defeat. It's just gonna be hard because I have to leave what I'm comfortable with. I have to stop doing the things that I've been doing. And I wrote those things down. So I have to stop being hyper independent. I have to stop fearing failure. I have to stop feeling like I have something to prove to others. God damn, I didn't think that I was gonna cry. Jesus. I have to stop using my ADHD as a cop-out. Now, with that, ADHD, paralysis, executive dysfunction, that shit is real. But I often don't try really to work with it. I fully let it work against me at almost every turn. Another thing I have to release is self-doubt regarding almost everything I do. I also have to release having to change everything overnight. I'm a pretty big subscriber to all or nothing thinking. I wrote down a list of things I have to accept, but it's basically the opposite of all 6 of the things I just mentioned. So I don't know if maybe I'll mention them later in the video. I don't really know how long this video is going to be, but I just felt like I needed to sit here and talk because maybe it will help me process what's changing in my life. I have to accept a new reality, and I don't know if you've done that before, but it's pretty frightening because there's a lot of unknowns in that. I'm used to being comfortable. I'm used to trying my hardest to plan what's next. But I cannot do that right now. You know, a part of me feels like I was set up because I was raised by an emotionally neglectful mother. So I grew up not knowing how to regulate my own emotions and growing up having to mostly care about how your mother gets through her day. It really does play a huge part in how you operate as an adult. So I've spent the past maybe 2 years trying to undo the damage from the childhood that I experienced, the emotional neglect that I experienced as a kid, because it does do quite a bit of damage. And I talk about it today as an adult with the tone of like I'm moving beyond it. Like I'm not sitting here. Of course, it's her fault, period. My mom did not raise me or my siblings correctly. And that's just that. Yeah, she did what she could, sure. But that doesn't erase the damage that was done. Because I'm left here as an adult having to work through like the serious gaps and like trying to bridge them and fill them as an adult. I'm also a mother. My baby turns 8 in August. And I don't think I fully grasped, you know, how subpar my own mom was until I became one myself. Little me deserved so much better. So I feel like what I'm experiencing is an ego death. Maybe. I have all these plans and all these ambitions, like all this ambition rather, and all of these plans and just things I want to do, but I've never been able to move. And it's because of the 6 things I refuse to release. And those 6 things were installed in me at a young age. That's why I said I felt like I was set up. Now I have to work my way out of it. And I think I could do it. It's just, it's gonna take time. I'm in a lot of debt. I owe $800 to my landlord by 5 p.m. today, or we are going to be evicted. I'm aware of the process. It's not going to be an immediate thing. But it will definitely be the end of us living here. We've been here for 5 years, and every step of the way I've hated it. We live downtown. It's just super noisy, and when I first moved here in 2021, I was broke as fuck even then. But I turned my stuff around. You know, I got a job. Spectrum was pretty good at sales, was the best in our training class, and ended up quitting that job because they were bullshitting. I would not recommend anybody work at Spectrum, by the way. Worked at Spectrum, then I worked at Chase. I got braces when I was at Spectrum. If you haven't noticed how straight my teeth are, that it's not natural. I got braces when I was 30. So, yeah, I got the braces when I was at Spectrum. Then I moved to Chase. Was at Chase for about 90 days. They also were shit. I wouldn't really recommend somebody work at Chase, but I would recommend they work there over Spectrum if you had a choice. Work at Chase, because Spectrum is just absolute shit. Was at Chase for 90 days and then was unemployed for maybe like a month and a half, searching for a new job, and I got found on LinkedIn by this company called CAS. It's local to Columbus. It's a subdivision of American Chemical Society headquartered in DC, and a recruiter reached out to me on LinkedIn, and I was shocked. You know, I just like retooled, like reworked my entire LinkedIn profile like a couple months prior, and I didn't think anything would really come of it, but I actually did start having recruiters reach out to me to ask me, hey, do you want to talk, blah, blah, blah. And he was one of those people. I think his name was Nick. The hiring process was pretty quick, I would say. He reached out to me in April, and my first day was June 1st of 2022. I had some ups and downs working at CAS, but I enjoyed it for the most part. I would say during my last year was when things started to get a bit wobbly. What I didn't know at the time is that what I'm feeling now is basically what had started back then, where my old self was starting to come out of alignment with where I'm supposed to be. So, just speaking for myself, because I don't want to paint a broad stroke here, but like a year ago, what I thought was, oh, I need to leave this job, was actually, no, you need to change as a person. Earlier in the video, I said that I'd always thought that if I grew as a person, that all I had to worry about was connecting myself to the opportunity. But along the way, I stopped really pruning myself. And so there were those 6 things that I mentioned that I carried on over a decade and a half. And that's way too long. So now I'm here in 2026 with severely outdated coping strategies and just ways of living, and they just, now at this point, I literally can't go forward with these things. I have to get rid of them. So, or at least work on them, because it's not going to be immediate. I have to make steps to actually get over these things. I don't have the ability to sit here and prolong any of them. Every day from this point forward, I have to work to get rid of these things. But what I was feeling a year ago working at CAS was the first like warning signs, like saying, hey, you actually need to audit yourself, not like what you're connected to. Like, you haven't audited yourself, pruned yourself in a very long time. There's stuff that you are still holding on to that do not fit in this current timeline that you're in. And so a year ago today, I made plans like, oh, next year I'll leave CAS, because clearly I've outgrown my time here, and it's just whatever. Ended up getting laid off instead in August of 2025. So that completely catapulted like my plans, because I was planning to leave in June of 2026, but they've let me go in a very vicious way, might I add. Very insensitive. I was there for 3 years, but whatever, it's a layoff, right? So I was let go in August. Completely caught me off guard. They packed my ass up. It was crazy. Got severance for a few months that I went on unemployment. after severance ended. And then I decided to go back to work. I really didn't want to. Even so, during this layoff period was really when these 6 things that I mentioned before, was really when those 6 things really started to ramp up and take over for real. Like, because over the past decade and a half, I refused to let these things go. And I've honestly, some of them flourished over the past decade and a half because I wouldn't let them go. A lot of them are super strong at this point because I've not kept them in check. So getting laid off and being on my own, it really caused some of these to really take center stage, like my hyper independence and fear of failure. Those 2 things really took over, and it's made me like adopt like this sense of denial almost about my situation and where I've been, where heading, you know. So back in April, I decided I was going to go back to work, sort of kind of like temporarily, while I tried to get some business things off the ground with life insurance sales and other things. And that's the denial part, because I already knew that just like previous times, I was not going to be doing what I could to make life insurance sales work. I do think that I have the capability to make that work, but I've never actually operated fully in that space ever. And I also was in denial about the fact that me going back to work, like a full-time W-2 job, I was saying, oh, this is just temporary, knowing damn well I was trying my best to gain comfort from having a steady check and a place to clock in at. No, also knowing that I hated that setup. So I didn't last at that job. I was there for like a month. In my defense, it was a poor place to work. I'm not going to go into the details of it because it's irrelevant a little bit to this video. But yeah. So I haven't held a job since May of this year because I quit. And ever since then, I've just been sort of wallowing, but on a downward decline because I've not been able to do anything. And now I'm here where I'm at. So it makes sense that I'm here. That's the reality of it. It makes sense that I ended up here. These 6 things have so much control that I'm where I'm at today. That is my reality. I have to say it out loud to get myself to get it. Like I said, I know that this is like a stepping stone of some sort. I do see a small light at the end of the tunnel, but I'm gonna be honest, to get to the end of that tunnel, it's terrifying. But it has to be done. I think that I will come out of this a completely different person if I can let these 6 things go. So I think that I will list the things that I have to accept now. And so the list of things I have to accept is help. Like I said, I'm hyper independent. I was raised to prioritize my mom's feelings and her behavior and all that growing up. So it's very hard for me to ask for help because I've always been someone that just sort of kind of like handled things on my own a little bit. Also, I think for me personally, asking for help, I don't want to be judged. It's very vulnerable feeling that I feel when I ask for help and I don't like it. The other thing I need to accept is that big changes will take time. Like, being sure of myself and all that, I take that way too far. I am a fast learner. I'm a quick learner. I've always said that. But what I forget is that even though I'm quick to learn things, I still fail. I just fail maybe a little less than some people, but there's failure that still happens there when I'm learning something. I don't immediately latch onto it. Like I said, I still fail, but I think maybe I fail a little bit less than some people. But there's still failure. That's part of me being a quick learner. So big changes will take time. Something else I need to accept is doing nothing will delay those big changes. So those two things are kind of tied together. Because I said previously I'm scared of failing, but I'm also a quick learner. But what I forget is that I have to fail in order to learn quickly. I have to fail a few times in order to make a big change and learn very quickly how to do something. So I have to accept that doing nothing, just staying in one spot, those big changes are not going to happen. You can't just fucking sit here. I have to accept that I'm not naturally good at everything, but I have the capacity to learn. That's sort of, again, see, all these things are connected. And this also tells you how much I'm in denial that I have been in. Like the fact that I have to accept big changes take time. Doing nothing will delay the changes. I'm not naturally good at everything. I've been in denial about a lot of things, clearly, because I have to accept these things in order to move forward. So that's what I meant by earlier when I said I was in denial. Like, this tells you right here. Another thing I have to accept is that I have powerful ancestors behind me. I recently did research into my family, and I'd already known that Joe Louis was a part of our family tree. But I recently did research into, and this is the matrilineal side, like my grandmother's side of the family. I did more research into that, and I discovered, because I also knew that my family owns a farm in Alabama. I knew that too, but what I didn't know was that it was an 120-acre farm. Didn't know that it was that big. I'd never been down there. I'd love to go this summer to finally see it and visit any family that's still down there, but learning the history of that farm, I learned that earlier this week. It was super empowering. No, I learned it last week. Basically, in the 1850s, my great-great-grandfather was sold on an auction block with his sister and his mother in Winston-Salem, North Carolina. And they were sold to Master Shealy, and he transported them to Lafayette, Alabama. And as you know, 1865, slavery ended, and my great-great-grandfather gained his freedom and worked for this dude named Sloan Bell for a time, and eventually amassed enough money to purchase his own land. That land that he purchased was 120 acres at the foothills of Buckaloo Mountain in Alabama. He built the house that is currently still sitting on that farmland, and he created that Shealy family farm that my grandmother grew up on. My grandmother was born in that house. Joe Louis was born in that house. My grandmother moved up here to Ohio. I'm not sure when. I can't remember. I know that she said she was in her 30s, so the 70s, I guess. And and that's how I am here. I have no excuse to wallow. Like, it's good to sit with these feelings for sure, but I have no reason to be in complete despair day in and day out. I have too many good things working for me in the background, I think. So the last thing that I have to accept is that I can't be stopped as long as I keep moving. The problem is I haven't been moving enough. That's why I feel stuck. I have to make movement with these top 6 things here. I have to keep moving to disintegrate those things. And that will help me get past this and get to the end of the tunnel. So I hope that I could come back at the end of the year and share a different video with a different vibe. My birthday will have passed by then. My birthday's in December, so it's very fitting. I will be 34 years old. Jesus Christ. Anyway, no, I love being in my 30s. Just to close it out, I love being in my 30s. It's just every once in a while when I'm reminded how far away the past was, like yesterday, I saw like retirement announcements for like 2 teachers that I had like in high school. Like, they are still there. My God, I interacted with these people like almost 20 years ago and they're still teaching. Wow. I was a freshman in high school 20 years ago. See, it's shit like that. It's thoughts like that that make me feel a certain type of way about being this old. But I genuinely love being in my 30s, and I think that my 30s are probably going to be the best decade because of the transformation I'm going to be going through. I think it's all for the best. Yeah. Like I said, I anticipate being able to come back here in December or sooner with a whole different vibe. Having made serious progress in my life and being comfortable with who I am becoming, because I'm like in the middle right now. I fully like realized that I have to leave. I'm even referring to myself as that old self. Like, I'm not even saying current self because I know that I have to leave it. So I'm in the middle. My old self is over there. New self is over there. I'm in the middle. I'm not moving that way. Not moving backwards. But I'm slowly inching my way this way.